Okay, good morning. And now we will going to start the another chapter in the unit of reproduction. So here that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So especially in the angiosperms. In that the sexual reproduction, what are the events and what are the structures, how the reproduction takes place to develop the seeds and fruits. So different aspects we will study in the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And here in the sexual reproduction in flowering plant was first described by the scientist or Camerarius. He was the first scientist who described the process of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And we know that in the flowering plants the main sexual organ, that means which helps in the sexual reproduction, is a flower. So flower is the sexual organ which helps in the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And in previous chapters we learned that about flower. Flower is a modified stem. It is a modified stem. So that means stem modified into flower. And this flower consists of the different whorls or different parts which helps in the sexual reproduction. And these all sexual parts and essential and accessory parts of the flower are attached to a swollen base, and that swollen base is called thalamus. So it is a flat or swollen part, and which is known as thalamus, and this is called thalamus. Or it is also known as receptacle. Thalamus or receptacle. And if you will see one by one part of the flower, innermost one is pistil or female reproductive part of the flower. So here this is known as the female reproductive part. And here at the topmost, here a bulb-like structure or a flat-like structure which is known as stigma. Stigma, and a long thread-like structure which is known as style, and the bottommost part, and which is again the swollen part, which is called ovary. And this ovary consists of ovules in which eggs are found. So this entire structure, stigma, style and ovary, these three together called pistil or carpel. Pistil or carpel, and this is the female reproductive part, and together this all structure is called gynecium. Gynecium. And the next part outer to the pistil, and that is stamen. So stamen, and again the stamen consists of two parts. The bulb-like structure or swollen part is anther, and again thread-like structure which is known as filament, filament. And this anchor and filament together called stamen, stamen. And this stamen is a male reproductive part of the flower. So pistil is the female reproductive part and all pistils together called gynoecium, and anchor and filament together called stamen, which is male reproductive part, and all stamens in a flower together called androecium. Androecium. And outer to the stamen there are another structures which are called petals. And petals outer to the stamens. And these all petals together called corolla. All petals together called corolla. And outer to the corolla, and it is the outermost part, and that is calyx. And here the sepals are the parts. Sepals. And here it is the calyx. All sepals together called sepals. So here, if you see that, now totally 4 orals are arranged on the thalamus or receptacle. So outer to inner, that is outermost oral is calyx, which is having sepals, and inner to the calyx, that is corolla, having petals, and inner to the corolla there are stamens or androecium, and innermost oral is gynoecium, which is a female reproductive part. And here in out of these 4 orals, the outer 2 orals, that is outer 2 orals, calyx and corolla. So these calyx and corolla are accessory parts. These 2 are called accessory parts. Accessory parts means they do not participate directly in the sexual reproduction, but they helps in the sexual reproduction. And inner 2 layers, inner 2 orals, those are androecium and gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium. These 2 are known as reproductive parts or essential parts. So these 2 are reproductive parts or essential parts. Essential parts. So outer 2 orals, that is calyx and corolla. What is calyx function? Calyx is a protective during bud. So when the flower is in bud stage, the internal parts like gynoecium and androecium are protected by the calyx. So that is by the sepals. And corolla, which is having petals, these are attractive. The petals are brighter, and these petals are attract insects and birds, which helps in the pollination process. So little later we will discuss that how the pollination takes place. And the inner 2 orals, androecium and gynoecium. And we already discussed androecium is a male reproductive product and gynoecium is a female reproductive reproductive part. And here on the basis of the presence of androecium and gynoecium, the flowers are two types. One is bisexual and unisexual. Bisexual flower means the flower contains both androecium and gynoecium. It consists both androecium, that means stamens, and pistil. Such type of flowers are called bisexual flowers. And another type is unisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers means either it contains androecium or gynoecium. Any one of the reproductive part is present in the flower. So that type of flowers are called unisexual flowers. And here one is the papaya seed. If you observe the papaya plants, in some papaya plants, so papaya plants, all papaya plants having the flowers, but only some plants give fruits, not all the plants. That means because papaya plant having unisexual flowers. In papaya plants, it having the unisexual flower. So the fruits are developed the plant in which the female flowers are present, and if flower contains the male reproductive part, here fruits does not form. So that is the one important point have to be remembered. And when we come to the reproductive parts, so here androecium and gynoecium. Androecium having stamen and gynoecium having pistil and carpel. So here first we will make a note of this pistil, stamens or androecium. And sexual reproduction in flowering plants is studied under 3 steps. That is pre-fertilization, then double fertilization, and post-fertilization. In flowering plants, the sexual reproduction is studied under 3 steps: pre-fertilization events, double fertilization, and post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization events which occur before the fertilization takes place, which includes formation of gametes, and here in the pre-fertilization events, first we will study the pollen grain formation, pollen grains are the male gametes in the plants, and embryo sac formation, it is the female part, and pollination. So pollination is a transfer of pollen grains to the stigma, and pollen pistil interaction. So these are the pre-fertilization events. One is pollen grain formation, embryo sac formation in the ovules, pollination, transfer of pollen grains from the pollen grains anther to the stigma, and pollen pistil interaction. How these pollen grains enters into the ovule and how the fusion of these gametes takes place. So that these headings we will study in the pre-fertilization events. So before going to that, first we will take the male gametophyte. And here you have to know that female gametophyte is called megasporophyll and male gametophyte is called microsporophyll. Megasporophyll is a female and microsporophyll is a male gametophyte. First we will take the male gametophyte, that is stamen. And here the stamen is having two structures. One is a lobed structure which is called anther, and the long thread-like structure which is known as filament. The entire structure is known as stamen, anther and filament. Anther and filament together called stamen. And here anther in the angiosperms, there are different types of anthers are present on the basis of the number of lobes. So here monothecous type of anther and dithecous type of anthers. And here monothecous anthers means they are having only one lobe. Single lobe is present. Example for this is Malvaceae family. This monothecous anther is a characteristic feature of this family, Malvaceae. And dithecous, these are having two lobes. In almost all the angiosperms except this Malvaceae, remaining all angiosperms having dithecous type of anthers. So having two lobes, and each lobe is connected by a connective tissue. See, just a rough diagram I will draw here. So here in between these two lobes, this is one lobe and this is another lobe. Between these two lobes there is a connective sterile tissue. So this is the connective sterile. Why we are calling it is a sterile means it does not involve in the reproduction process. So just it separates the two lobes of the anther, and in each lobe there are sacs or microsporangium. So in each lobe two sporangia are present, and these are called sporangium or microsporangium. Microsporangium. When the anther is young, these lobes or these sac-like structures are called microsporangium. When anther get mature, these are termed as pollen sacs. Pollen sacs in which the pollen grains are formed. And in this, each microsporangium nearly number of microspore mother cells are present from which the pollen grains are formed or microspores are formed. So this is in majority of the angiosperms, this is a dithecous type of anther. Dithecous. So here theca means sac. Theca means sac. And having two lobes, so it is considered as a dithecous or lobe. Having two lobes, so it is a dithecous. And in each lobe there are two microsporangia are present or pollen sacs are present. And in this, within the pollen sacs or within the microsporangium, the pollen grains are formed. And having four microsporangia, this is also known as tetrasporangiate. Tetrasporangiate. So tetrasporangiate, tetra means four. Four microsporangia are present in anther. So these type of anthers are called tetrasporangiate anther or dithecous anther having two lobes. And on the basis of how this anther and filament are attached with each other, so on the basis of that, there are four different types of stamen are present. So these are the different anthers, and from which these, if the filament is attached at the base of the anther, from this, at the base of the anther, that type of anther or stamen is called basifixed stamen. So first type is basifixed stamen, in which the filament is attached at the base of the anther. And another type of anther, that is in which filament is attached on the dorsal side of the anther. So that is called dorsifixed stamen. In dorsifixed stamen, the filament is attached on the dorsal side of the anther. And another one is called, which is called entire length of the anther. So it is called basement anther. Basement type of stamen or decayed type of stamen. And another one is there, that is flattened anthers are present, and in which in the middle of the anthers, so like this, in the middle of the anther the filament is attached. So this type of stamen is called versatile stamen. These versatile type of stamens are very common in anemophilous plants. Anemophilous plants means the plants in which pollination takes place by wind. Wind pollination takes place in this type of plants. So in that the stamens are versatile type. So that means these are very light in weight and easily pollinated through wind. So this type of stamen are called versatile stamen. So there are 4 different types of stamens are there on the basis of how the filament is attached to the anther. So one is basic fixed stamens. Filament is attached to the anther at the base of the anther, and another one is dorsifixed. Filament is attached on the dorsal side of the anther. Then basement stamen or decayed stamen. These are entire length of the anther is attached to the filament. Then versatile. In the middle of the anthers, the filament is attached. So such type of filament or stamen is called versatile, which is very common in anemophilous plants, in which pollination takes place by wind. So these are different types of anthers. And here, if you will observe the anther cross section, so there are inner parts. We will study the inner parts of the anther. So now we will discuss the structure of anther and development of anther. In angiosperms, the anther development is eusporangiate. So there are 2 different types of development processes in the plants, so by which anthers are developed. Eusporangiate and leptosporangiate. Eusporangiate means the anther is developed from the more than one cell of the epidermal cell. So here anther is developed from the many cells or many epidermal cells. From these many epidermal cells, the anther is developed. Such type of development is called eusporangiate development. And leptosporangiate means from the single cell of epidermis layer, only single cell. From the single cell of epidermis layer, if the anther is formed, such type of development is called leptosporangiate. So example for this leptosporangiate is pteridophytes. Pteridophytes. And in angiosperms and gymnosperms, the development of anther is eusporangiate. So in case of flowering plants, the development of anther is eusporangiate type. That means the anther is developed from many epidermal cells, so not a single cell. And anther, so already we discussed, in the flowering plants or in the angiosperms, the anther is dithecous and tetrasporangiate. Dithecous and tetrasporangiate, and this anther is having 4 layers. Anther is surrounded by 4 layers, and in the end anther there is a mass of tissue or meristematic tissue is present in the young anther, which is called primary sporogenous primary sporogenous cells. This meristematic tissue which is present inside the anther is called primary sporogenous cells, and on the maturity of the anther, these primary sporogenous cells develops microspore mother cells. Microspore mother cells. So in this case we have to remember very important thing, that is the ploidy of the cells. Either it is haploid or diploid or polyploid. So primary sporogenous cells are diploid. Primary sporogenous cells are diploid. These primary sporogenous cells, on the maturity of the anther, they undergoes mitotic cell division. So here they undergo mitotic cell division. When mitotic cell division takes place and the ploidy will be the same, that means if it has a diploid and the resultant formations are also having same ploidy, that is these are also having diploid condition. These primary sporogenous cells are present in the microsporangium. So there are 4 microsporangia are present, and in each microsporangia this type of primary sporogenous cells are present, and which is actually the meristematic tissue, and from which microspore mother cells are formed, so by the mitotic cell division, and both are having diploid in condition. And now we will see what are the 4 layers present in the anther. And this sporogenous cell is surrounded by the 4 layers of the anther. So this is the outermost layer, which is epidermal layer. Epidermis, and the next inner to this epidermis there is one more single layer. And this is called endothecium. Second layer, endothecium. And inner to that there are 1 to 6 layers are present, which are called middle layers. So these 2 are middle layers. Middle layers. And inner to this middle layers there is one more layer is present, and which is called tapetum. And this tapetum is again of 2 layers. So these 2 layers are tapetum, innermost layer, tapetum. And in this, between this is one lobe, and from this it is another lobe. Between these 2 lobes there is a connective tissue which separates these two lobes. This is connective tissue. Connective tissue or sterile tissue. And in each lobe there are two microsporangia are present, in which the primary sporogenous cells are present. If it is in end are microspore mother cells in the mature anther. If it is a matured anther, these are called microspore mother cells, or if it is a young anther, these are called primary sporogenous cells. So these are called microsporangia. Microsporangia. And inside this, so if it is a matured anther, these are microspore mother cells. And if you see that in detail, this part, that means layers of the anther. The first layer is epidermis, which is a single layer. Cells are thick walled and cellulose, made up of cellulose, and function is protection. Epidermis is a single layer, cells are thick, having cellulose and protection in function. And next to the epidermis, second layer is endothecium. Endothecium is the second layer of anther and it is also single layer. Usually it is single layer, and in the cells it consists of the proteins like lignin and pectin. Lignin and pectin. Function of this single layer endothecium is it helps in the anther dehiscence. Anther dehiscence. Anther dehiscence means after formation of pollen grains in the microsporangia, these pollen grains have to be released out to carry the stigma. So, these pollen grains are released by the splitting of anther valves. So, this endothecium helps in that splitting. Dehiscence means splitting, to release pollen grains. So, after completion of formation of pollen grains, this endothecium helps in the splitting of or dehiscence of these anther valves to release or to liberate the pollen grains. This is the function of endothecium. And middle layers. Middle layers are, there are number of middle layers, it may be varied from the different types of plants, that is it may be 1 to 6. So in some cases it is 1 or in some cases it is 6 or in between that. So what is the nature of these middle layers or function of these middle layers? In this, the cells are protects the microsporangium. These are again like epidermis. These are also helps in the protection of the microsporangia. So which is inside the lobes. And the next layer is innermost layer, tapetum. Tapetum is the innermost layer and it again consists of two different types of layers. Two layers. So what are the two layers of tapetum. Tapetum. In that, the first type of cells or layer is secretory or glandular layer. Secretory or glandular layer. This secretory or glandular layer secretes sporolanin. Sporolanin. It is a substance which is present in the pollen grains that secreted by the tapetal layer, and it also helps in the secretion of pollen pit. Pollen pit. So pollen pit is a sticky substance present on the pollen grains. So if we observe that, like hibiscus flowers and all, the pollen grains are having like powder-like structure or powder-like substance or sticky substance which is present on the pollen grains. So that is called pollen kit. Especially this pollen kit is present in the insect pollinated plants. So pollen kit is present in the insect pollinated plants. So when the insects are laid on the flowers, these sticky substances, with the help of this pollen kit, the pollen grains are attached to the insects, which helps in the pollination. And these are also secretes compatibility proteins. Compatibility proteins, which helps in the development of pollen grains. And the next layer of the tapetum is invasive cells or amoeboid cells. Amoeboid cells or plasmodial cells. Invasive or amoeboid or plasmodial cells. In these cells, the protoplast move to the center of the cells. So protoplast present in the center of the cell, and this helps in the nourishment of pollen grains. That means it provides nutrients to the pollen grains. Nutrients nourishes the developing pollen grains. That is the function of invasive cells of the tapetum. So in the anther wall is made up of 4 layers. One is epidermis, inner layer endothecium, second one is endothecium, and inner to the endothecium there are 1 to 6 number of middle layers, and innermost layer of the anther wall is tapetum. So these are the 4 different layers, and function wise it is different. And tapetum is again of 2 types of cells. It is having 2 types of cells, secretory or glandular, and invasive or amoeboid or plasmodial cells. So secretory cells or glandular cells helps in the secretion of sporolanin, pollen kit and compatibility proteins. And invasive cells are helps in the nourish the developing pollen grains. So these are the different types of layers present in the anther wall. And in the next session we will study how the pollen grains are formed.